Revelation chapter 3. Verse 14, unto the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write, these things saith the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God. I know thy works, that thou art neither hot or cold. I would thou wert either cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. I can give you a very ugly caption for this, when God gets sick. And notice he's not talking about the world, he's talking about those who profess his name. The church he spews out of his mouth, I would think, would be the cold church. It's not the cold church, it's not the hot church, it's the one that's halfway up and halfway down. It's always vacillating. One of the most famous preachers in the country called me at nearly midnight and said, you know what, I've come to this conclusion, God Almighty's already taken his hands off America. For the simple reason we've had so much light and rejected it. Why in God's name do you think it says don't lay up treasure on earth, lay up treasure in heaven? You can tell how spiritual you are. I'll tell you, this will shatter some of you, and you deserve it. When you're more interested in your bank book than you are in God's book. We're in grave danger when we let our accomplishments become the ground of our confidence. If you feel stronger in God, if I feel stronger in God tonight because I've been preaching 60 years, I'm a fool. And when I hear people singing, you know, put your hand in the hand of him that walks on the water, forget it. Or the new song that's now, shake hands with Jesus. Listen, when you see Jesus, you're not going up and say, hey buddy, I'm glad you died for me. When you see Jesus, you'll be almost paralyzed with fear unless you had a glorified body and a glorified mind. Just finished a book, Revival, God's Way. Because we've tried everybody else's way, I thought it might be decent to go back and try God's way. It's about time we had a change. And no man is able to bring that change, only God. Again, the symbol of the church. I was preaching last Sunday night in a big church with a big cross of Jesus and one for the thieves. I reminded them that's pagan, that's not Christian, that's cruel. The cross is no symbol of Christianity. The symbol of Christianity is a tongue of fire that sat on the head of each of them. And our God is a consuming fire. Do you know why we have so many pygmies in our pews? Because we have so many puppets in our pulpits. If Jesus came back, he wouldn't cleanse the temple, he'd cleanse the pulpit. Today when I was talking with Dr. Tozer, as we used to talk together so often, he said to me one day, you know, Len, I'm not really too worried about what I've done. I'm not too worried about the judgment even on my Christian life, which I'll have, I know. But he said, it's the things I could have done that worry me. The things that I missed. We're not going to be judged just because of what we've done. We're going to be judged for why we did it. Not for the action, for the motive. What motivated your giving? So you'd have a plaque with your name on? Or you'd be the top of the list for giving money? Why? What's the motive behind it? We've tried organizing instead of agonizing, and superficial instead of the supernatural, and the electronic church instead of the electrifying church. You know, we're overboard on laughter and happiness. There's an old saying in the world, laugh and the world laughs with you. I change it, I say laugh and the church laughs with you, but weep and you weep alone. You go so near to the heart of God. We sang it our Friday. We had a marvelous Friday night prayer meeting. I wouldn't have taken that Friday night meeting for $10,000. God came and we were broken and humiliated before him. Come on. You folk that preach prosperity. If prosperity is God's order, why does he rebuke this country, this church? Why doesn't he compliment them and saying, you're living exactly where I want you to live? Are you prepared to challenge demon power and say, listen, I've moved into the place where the Apostle Paul was when he said, I glory in tribulation, in necessities, in reproaches. Why should people tremble at the word of God if the preacher hasn't already trembled at it? Why should people weep for their sins if the preacher hasn't already wept for them? It's a scarce, rare thing to find a preacher ever weeping in the pulpit anymore, isn't it? And yet it's a condition of revival. In Joel 2, let the priest weep. It says, let the priest howl. You know, those preachers used to howl during the night. Now we've got night owls amongst the preachers. They're watching TV all night. But they don't howl. They don't weep. They don't grieve. If there are 1,000,000 roads into hell, there's not one road out. That if they continually sing in heaven, worthy is the Lamb, in hell, the only thing they sing is the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we're not saved. I discovered this poem just yesterday. It's called His Plan for Me. I didn't have time to memorize it. When I stand at the judgment seat of Christ and He shows His plan for me, the plan of my life as it might have been, had He had His way, and I see how I blocked Him here and I checked Him there and I would not yield my will there be grief in my Saviour's eyes? Grief, though He loves me still? Would He have me rich and I stand there poor, stripped of all but His grace, while memory runs like a hunted thing down the paths I cannot retrace? Lord of the years that are left to me, I give them to Thy hand. Take me and break me and mold me to the pattern that Thou hast planned. I think again of a statement Dr. Tozer made to me once. He said, Len, you know what? He said, we'll hardly get our feet out of time into eternity and gaze on eternity before we bow our heads in shame and humiliation and say, my God, look at all the riches there were in Jesus Christ, and I've come to the judgment seat almost a pauper.